I've been knitting for like 8 years with these ladies, and I don't think I have like become very competent. I got into knitting because I had these two friends who were into knitting as well, and they just mentioned to me that they had a Monday night group that got together and did some knitting, and they invited me to it. And so, even though I had no experience and had never done anything like that before, I decided to come out, and that was almost a decade ago.
I am making a sweater. This is like the front and back, basically. The body of the sweater.
And I am making a sock. My big issue was whenever I made a mistake, I would just rip the whole thing out and start over again instead of fixing my mistake. So my first scarf took me a really, really long time because I probably knit 4 scarves in the amount of time it took me to finish the one. Larger stitches would be easier for a beginner. Smaller stitches, they tend to be a little bit fiddly. It's much more difficult to fix mistakes or pick up drop stitches.
So my friend Rhonda has this great saying that she'll say, that shit'll block right out. And so that's my new approach to problems in my knitting is, for the most part, the things that I get hung up on as a perfectionist are not really noticeable, and that shit'll block right out. Meaning that when you wash it and dry it, then it looks much nicer than when it's on your needles the first time.
And to be honest, non-knitters can't tell. So I always bear that in mind.
There's this very popular pattern on a knitting website called Ravelry, and it was like a viral sweater pattern. And I made it, but it was like deeply, deeply unflattering. And so I wore it, and it was expensive yarn. It was my first sweater I ever made, and I ended up giving it away. A thing I never thought I would do with a sweater.
Yeah, I was just at a museum recently, and I was looking at some old clothes in the museum, and it was a knitted garment, and instead of looking at it and thinking, wow, that's a neat piece of historical clothing, I spent a lot of time wondering what the woman who knitted it was doing and thinking and feeling, and who she was talking to, and was she having tea like we do while she knitted every single one of those thousands of stitches in the garment. And so I think it changes your perspective.
Yeah, like you always remember what you were doing